Hello everyone, it's Steve from SSGP Media. Welcome back to the channel. This video is the first video of 2026. Happy New Year to you all. Today's video is a little bit different as I'm going to talk to you about a slightly controversial subject at the moment, and that is the use of AI in the hobby. I'm not going to go down the route of pros and cons to it. Several other YouTubers have touched on it more extensively in videos, so it's not necessary for me to really go into it. However, I have dabbled a little bit in it myself. And the reason for this is for my layout Clum, I wanted to have my own custom backscene on my layout. What I wanted to have doesn't exist, something you can just buy off the shelf. What I envisioned for the backscene of Clum is to have the backscene represent a sort of very miserable day in Snowdonia. So high up in the mountains, above the level of where kind of like most of the vegetation stops, kind of like that sort of like plateau sort of level where it opens into moorlands before it then gets into the really sort of like steep, really rocky sort of terrain areas. And to have it so it was like a very sort of rainy sort of day with sort of the clouds hiding the sort of the mountain tops and that sort of like mist in the distance and stuff. But I also want to have featured on my layout is a small little waterfall coming off from the runoffs from the mountains. So I wanted to have featured into the back scene as well, showing basically where that water kind of originates from as it comes down. So yeah, as you can say, there's all these different things that I want to have in it, and of course you can't just go and buy a, like for example ID back scenes or whatever. They don't have something like that. There's a few mountain back scenes and stuff that exist, but they're all kind of like sunny days and stuff, and not really what I was really after. As well with my back scene as well, I'm going to have it so the scene is curved round from the back to the sides. So if you're looking in it from literally 90 degrees to looking into the side of the layout, that back scene is kind of going to alter as it goes round. So I'm going to need a panorama sort of effect as well. These sort of panoramas do exist as back scenes, you can pick those up, but it's something which I needed to factor into what I was going to do. The original plan would have been that I was going to paint my own back scene, so went down the route, so I've got my back scene support boards in place, and I picked up some, it's like wallpaper lining paper, and the idea being that I would then sketch out some ideas of my own and then try and paint it. My landscape painting ability, I wouldn't say is anywhere close to good. I used to do watercolour painting when I was younger, but I've not picked up anything more just like acrylic or oils or anything like that in a very long time. So for me to go and just do that, it's a process that I would have enjoyed doing and trying to get back into it again, but it would have took a considerable period of time. I want to have Clum done on the circuit by Easter, really. I want to make this a very sort of quick, short project. It's only a 2x4 layout. It's basically a scenic little layout with the one piece of track going round, and the train will just run around by itself. Apart from me swapping over, I don't need to have much involved with it, so it kind of just sit there and just be its own sort of like scenery cameo sort of layout. So because I want to get this done quickly, I looked down the route of making my own images using AI. Now I know AI. A lot of people are very much against it. I very much understand why, particularly from the creativity side of things and reducing stuff. But as I'm going to try and explain, in this case, it's not like I've just opened up an AI program and I said, I wish to have this, and it spits the first thing out and I go, yeah, fantastic, let's go. This took a little bit of tweaking over several tries to get something along the lines of what I wanted. And I'll show you how I went about creating this and the instructions that I put in through ChatGPT to make this. But it still took a lot of refining to go from the first initial image to then be able to tweak it down and to change sort of like, I just wanted to round off the mountain peaks because originally it was incredibly sort of steep peaks, very much sort of like the Scottish Highlands, which is a little bit more extreme than I necessarily wanted. And as well, moving it around so I wanted to move this waterfall and stuff and add a little bit more vegetation in, because originally it was very barren, and testing as well. How much rain I was going to have on the image, how far the visibility would be going into the distance, because it's the way I'm going to be doing this is the scenery will reduce in scale as it moves away to give that sort of 3D effect as if you're looking into it and it's going away into the distance. So then I had to also then think about, okay, I'm going to have this back scene further back, but I still need to have it image elements of it still rendered with enough detail so it doesn't end up being a stage where you just go from my own scratch built scenery side of things, where it's going to be very visible because there's no mist or anything inside that layout. So then have it so it then blends it into the back scene, and then as the back scene elements will look like they're going further away, then start to like blend it into the clouds and have the weather sort of effect start to come in and that. So that was done, an image was created, one that I was happy with. Of course, that they just initially just left me with a bog standard, just think of it like an A4 sort of image, as in that's a lot of rectangular sort of view, as if you're looking in. Now that's panoramic. I can't just feed into ChatGPT and say I wish to make this panoramic. What I had to do was just to generate it and say, right, okay, take this image, add on another image to the left, which would attach onto this, and then add another one onto the right. Those images, which were then exported, I then imported them into Lightroom, my photo editing software. I then stitched those together as a panorama, and then went and did my own edits within the editing software as well. So that's then moved from AI generating its own side of things to then this is something I'm now tweaking and generating myself and adding little things into it. You use Photoshop and that as well, which that is a skill in itself, and that would take a long time. And this is something I could very easily have generated in Photoshop, but it would have took a lot longer. And I'm very much, the way I approach AI is very much a tool. Rather than being something which replaces what you did before, it's something that kind of enhance what you're doing. And in most cases where I use it, it speeds up the process so you can generate things quicker. Particularly within sort of the business sort of world and the analysis sort of world which I work in, that's where it's tended to come in now, where it's not replacing that sort of role in itself, it's just enhancing your capabilities so you can do more with less. And this very much applies to this. So yeah, waffled on quite a lot. I've when the image was done and what I was happy with, I sent this out to the printers, so it was paid by sending it off to Vistaprint. They had, actually not that expensive at all really, I think this was 17 quid, I think it was, including postage, to get printed. The size I needed was 6 foot by 2 foot, because the whole thing going around, to say it's 4 foot wide, but the way it's curved, the actual curved piece of Backscene is a 6 foot piece, which I then pressed into the sides and it's curved round. So basically using the length of that material was basically what restricts the curve. And yeah, 2 foot high, because I've got to have a lot of my scenery is going to be coming up to it. It's only just about that top bit, a little bit of the layout which needs its back scene. All down this part, lower down, it's not seen at all. So that was what I did. I sent it off to them. It took a few weeks to come back to me, so it wasn't hugely quick, and that's kind of like the flip side between, yes, you've created something using AI and you've saved the time doing that, but then you've got to send it off to the printers and have them print it and then send it back to you, and that obviously takes time. So that's something you've got to weigh up when you're looking at this. So here we are, sent through. This is packaging how it comes. As you can see, I've not opened it yet, so let's have a look and see what it's like. Just we're inside the packaging, you've got your printout there, and then it's packed within the box, so I'm moving around. Here we are. Okay. And I've just torn the back seam. That was a good start. So here we are. So talk about the material first. The material on the back is actually quite thick. That should be fine for attaching your spray glue and everything to it. It is slightly satin sort of effect on it. Now let's talk about, let's turn it now, so obviously I'm looking at this, seeing it for the first time the same as you are. So resolution wise, I'll show you the image, what I've used. Printed out, the resolution on this is quite poor. It is quite pixelated, to be honest. I had kind of expected a little bit better than that. Yeah, that's a shame. We've got things like down on this side of the back scene, where the vegetation is. To be honest, if I didn't tell you that was vegetation there, you probably wouldn't necessarily know. The way the mist is all generated in with the mountains and stuff, that looks absolutely fine. I mean, you're not necessarily worried too much about pixelation for it. You've got the rain effect on there. Now, I'll be honest, it's hard necessarily, if I was looking at this and didn't know, I'd be looking at it and not necessarily knowing 100% for certain that that was rain that's meant to be on there. I'd think that was just a poorly printed image. So that's not 100% great. This was the part of the mountain which I think was very steep and pointed, which we rounded off, and like this area here where it's like shut further into the distance and where it's blending into the clouds and stuff, that's exactly what I was wanted, because as I say, I wanted it to be fading more wide, say at the top of the image, and then blending into the roof of the layout as well, which I'm looking at whether or not I go down sort of like using opaque sort of perspex or something with the lights behind it to put the light through so it diffuses, and whether or not to have it as just painted white and then bounce the light off that and then blend it in together and that, so it doesn't. So it basically, if you're looking down from a lower angle into the box, you will potentially see the roof, but it make it so it's not wow. So it blends in quite nicely and doesn't stand out so much. Looking over this side now, the waterfall on my on Clum is going to come down from the right side of the layout, and I've got the water coming down down here from the right. It was a little bit more further around than necessarily I would have liked when I played around with the image, but it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I'm just going to keep playing around with this forever to use that, and then with all the scenic stuff and the rocks and that I'm going to be putting onto the layout, it would hide the course of the waterfall coming through. So basically you're looking into it, you've got somewhere where you can see in the distance saying, okay, this water hasn't just come out of nowhere, it has originated somewhere, there was a source to it up in the mountains, and it's flowed down through various different tributaries and stuff into the actual stream, which then forms the waterfall. So that's how it's done. This is obviously much closer than what I was talking about here, where it's moving to distance, where it's like this being pixelated isn't that much of an issue. Here, there's very little definition in the scenery, in the back scene, should I say. So yeah, that's not great. So yeah, so that's you're getting my first impressions looking at this live, effectively, as I'm looking at it now. 5 out of 10. To be honest, it wasn't expensive. It was quite cheap. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it'll do. I'll put it into the layout, I'll mount it, see how it looks, and then yeah, go from there. If it's not great, then yeah, I've got the route of going down the paper route and that. So yeah, this was an exercise in whether or not AI can replace doing it yourself. Answer is yeah. Not great, if I'm being honest. The biggest issue with this is obviously, you're using ChatGPT to make an image, it's not going to spit something out which is incredibly high resolution. I could go down the route of using some of the other software which I've got to enhance the resolution of the image, called Topaz. It was software that came out a good few years ago now, and if any of you into like photography and stuff and use Lightroom and Photoshop and stuff, it was the idea of it was it would really good software for reducing the noise on your image and maintaining the detail, and one of the options which they had as well was you had AI sharpen, so you could take an image that was pretty much like this, quite poor resolution, and AI we've built in with it would pick out the details and enhance it and bring back the sharpness to that image. Honestly, very hit and miss. I found that software, I wasn't hugely impressed with it. The denoise, reducing the grain and everything like that, which you tend to get particularly if you're doing like light sort of images, and you've got your ISO, which is the light meter sort of thing, built in with the camera, and that's up high. It's going to introduce a lot more grain onto the image. So the software was great for that, to be able to remove those little tiny dots and everything, which we refer to as noise. The other one it had, as I said, were 3 parts to the software, was it could take an image, which was it was sort of like a normal resolution thing, but if you wanted to have it say blown up like this, where I have print on stuff, you could then put it into that software, and it would then basically take the image and massively increase the resolution and basically blow the image up, so then you can say maintain the detail and the quality with these bigger images. I never really had to use it. It wasn't something I did. I printed some of my own images before, but yeah, I never had to use it because I still had the original images to work from. That is something which I could say take that image from ChatGPT, put it into the software and give me a high quality resolution for printing. again, that's software you have to pay for. I mean, ChatGPT, I'm using it from the free side of things, and yeah, this Topaz software wasn't exactly cheap. So then you're going down the route of thinking, well, is it really worth it? And my honest answer is probably not. So my thoughts on this now is, if you are just wanting to make a simple backscene, and whether or not it be a sky or a landscape or whatever, that doesn't fall into the realms of something which you can buy off the shelf, then yes, you can use it if you're not too fussed about the resolution or whatever. Again, it's sort of like, for example, like with the N-gauge sort of stuff I'm doing in 2mm fine scale, you have that thinking you've got that 6 foot rule, and incredibly close, it might not be fantastic, but a distance away it'll look absolutely fine. And I think that might be the case with this. But if you're wanting to have a backscene which maintains its detail, I would probably say it's probably something that you might be worth doing yourself. Now, commissioning. I don't know of anyone who I can reach out to who would be able to paint and generate for me a backscene of high quality, which would meet my specifications on what I want. If you are someone, an artist for example, who would be able to do this stuff, and if we were in the realms of potentially AI taking away your work, I'm more than happy to give you the opportunity in this platform to promote yourself. So by all means, put your details down in the comments below if you're happy for people to contact you and potentially do a custom backscene for them. More than happy to promote that. I certainly don't want to be looking at this and saying, yeah, this is something which I think should take the work away from other creators and artists. You have to bear in mind, obviously, that if you're going to go down the commissioning route, you're paying for something, you're paying for their time as well as the product. So you have to balance that up between whether or not it's something which you can afford or whether or not it's worthwhile you doing yourself. Obviously, I'm going to go test this, see what it looks like, but this may be something that I say go and do myself. But if you say you've seen the image which I've made, and if you think you can produce that for me and of a really decent quality within the specifications that I want, get in touch. Contact shgpmedia@gmail.com. My email address is attached to the channel. Yeah, by all means get in touch and we'll chat and come up with some options. And then yeah, more than happy to say, if your work's good, obviously, they're more than happy to promote it for you. So that's where we're at. So this was a slightly different video than normal, a bit of a controversial subject, and yeah, actually quite surprised in the result. I kind of expected it was going to be a little bit better than that, but yeah. So there we go. As always, thank you for watching. Goodbye for now. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe for free to the channel, and be sure to click the notification bell to be notified of future modern railway exhibition videos and other railway and heritage content.